Tell us why the decision to release that video and what sort of reactions have you been getting?
The decision was because this is the reality. This is the reality that the hostages are living. This is the reality that the families are living. And so I think it's important that the world see what's happening. Most specifically, it is not for the hostage families. We think about the hostages all day, every day. This is what we do 24/7. But on day 263 today, 262 yesterday, it feels like we need to offer a wake-up call to the world, to decision makers, all the parties involved. People all over the world need to understand that there are still 120 hostages being held, and that these are people. We talk about hostages a little bit, not enough, but the world talks a little bit about these hostages. They are real people with dreams, with aspirations, with families working for them, waiting to hug them. In the case of the video yesterday, that boy who was seen in the video with his hair being pulled, that's Hersh. He's our son. He's a real person, and all of these hostages are real people who must come home immediately.
It's really torn open a new trauma for me, actually. My daughter and I both didn't sleep last night. It's very difficult to see your son covered in blood with his jagged bones sticking out where he used to have his hand, and to see someone grab him by the hair to pull him up and say, "Take a selfie with me," or something along those lines. It's just, it reawoke the trauma that is ever present in our lives, and it just added a new dimension to it. And I am thankful that we did receive a video showing that there was some sort of treatment given and that he is alive. But there was something about seeing that day again that sort of rewound our family back to October 7th in a different way than we've been trapped in October 7th, as have all the hostage families. You know, the government has not really been so communicative with us. So we don't really know. We don't know, you know, we hear what you hear. We hear what people read or see in the news, which is not always accurate. We like to believe and remain optimistic and hopeful that our leaders will be wanting to do the right thing, the just thing, the correct thing, without worrying about interests and equities and politics. But it's a terrifying experience knowing that all of our loved ones, all 120 of them, are being pawns in a game that none of us signed up for, none of those hostages signed up for, and certainly none of the families signed up for.
It's day 263, and the hostages, 120 of them, are still there. So the government, all the governments involved, haven't done enough. It's binary. They will have done enough when these hostages are home, when we're hugging them and they're home. Until then, it's not enough. They have to keep on going. What gives me, we're always scratching for optimism. What gives me some optimism right now is polls in Israel. The people are speaking loudly and clearly, and the polls are showing the population of Israel wants a deal. They know that we need these hostages home. We can't move forward until the hostages are home. And I hope that those polls of what the people are saying make its way up to the decision makers and that they understand the same thing.
A few weeks ago, there was talk about perhaps negotiations for a separate deal for the release of the American hostages. Have you been hearing anything from American officials, and what do you know about that deal?
We actually asked Secretary Blinken about that when he was here 2 weeks ago, a couple of days after that story first broke. And he said unequivocally at that time that the Americans are working for the larger deal and that their belief is that the best way to get everyone home is through this large deal that is the Netanyahu deal that was outlined by President Biden. And that's all we know.
Even in Israel, and certainly outside of Israel, I don't believe that people are aware enough and talking enough and working hard enough on the hostage issue. Big picture. Those who are aware of it and are talking about it have been amazing. The strength that we get from people literally all over the world, of all religions, sending us messages of hope and strength and support, and seeing people doing what they can do. Even here in Israel, we have Haredim, ultra-Orthodox, who their contribution is they pray and they learn and they recite Psalms, and we feel that. It strengthens us and it helps us. Other people are calling their elected officials. Everybody's doing what they can. So the people who are working are amazing and strengthening us, and we want to grow that army of people working on this to be even more. Everybody in the world should be asking themselves if they've done enough to get these 120 people who were taken from their lives. Have they done enough today to get these people out?
We've said all along that when people are going through despair and trauma and terror and angst and misery, which is what all of us are going through, there is no judgment and there is no playbook. So there is no unified way to respond to that. Every single person digests this differently and acts upon it differently. And everyone is entitled to that, in our opinion. And I think that that is the opinion of the families at large, that we're not all the same, but we know what we're each going through intimately. And so there can't be any judgment. So what we do might be different from what some other people do. What they do might be different from the next people. But we all have to do what we feel in our gut and heart and soul is the right thing to save our loved ones.
I want to thank you very much, and our hopes and prayers are with you and with Hersh, that you'll see him again soon here in Israel. Toda rabba.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.